Aromagees Botanica, a metaphysical store for mind, body, and spirit. Oils, herbs, candles, crystals, teas, handmade soaps, tarot cards, everything you need on your magical journey. Daily psychic and tarot readings, classes, witchcraft, pagan, and hoodoo supplies, most of it made in-house. Try our free Dress Your Own candle station. From spiritual gifts to ritual supplies to religious books, we have the widest selection of metaphysical products in all of Tennessee since 1999. It is our goal to inspire everyone to explore their spirituality in their own way by offering information and products in a nurturing multicultural environment. Open 7 days a week. 223 Donaldson Pike, Nashville, Tennessee, or visit us online at aromagees.com.
A hand-carved natural quartz crystal ball made into a necklace for divination on the go. Crystal balls have been used for centuries in healing and cleansing rituals, as well as for divination. The sphere represents infinity and the circle of life. While a wand uses focused energy, the crystal ball sends out energy in all directions. This makes it a great resource for discovering the complete circumstances surrounding a question.
Oh, fire, fire, oh, fire, call the fire department. Oh, wait, never mind. Fluffy says that it's he's smudging the house. Yep, smudging the house. He's been stressing how important it is to indulge in psychic hygiene. Yep, move that energy. Well, okay, I'm gonna go over here and chew on Fluffy's foot. I'm gonna go smudge the foot so it smells better, get rid of all that bad juju. You don't want his other foot to fall off. Remember, look us up on With the Fluff. Love ya. Bye. Ow.
Welcome to the Conscious Radio Network's YouTube channel. Become enlightened, have fun, and tell all your friends and family to share with everyone they know. You can find us on Facebook and stay up to date on our Facebook group, or find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Our podcasts can be found on Libsyn, iHeart, Spotify, Google Podcast, and more. Most of all, remember to go to our official website at consciousradionetwork.com for podcasts, hosts, future shows, and scheduling. We also want to welcome our international audience. Don't stop now. Enjoy the community. Subscribe today.
This is the Conscious Radio Network.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be on this spaceship we call Earth. Welcome to Conscious Radio Network's weekly podcast series, The Seance. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Paul Meckes. If this is your first time tuning in, please click subscribe, like, share, comment, and also follow us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Today, let me get my, there we go. Energy is real. Let's discover the subtle world of human energy. Today, former engineer, now author, speaker, and energy healer. Midway through a successful 20-year engineering career, she experienced a life-changing, spontaneous spiritual opening, transforming her from skeptic to seeker. Her spiritual journey eventually led her to explore human energy and alternative healing as a side vocation. A graduate of the Barbara Brennan School of Healing in Florida, she has been an energy practitioner in Vancouver, Canada for over 25 years. She recently published a second edition of her book, Energy is Real, a practical guide for managing personal energy in daily life, which she co-authored with Claudette Bouchard, I believe it is, Bouchard?
Bouchard.
Bouchard, French.
Yes.
A fellow energy practitioner, she loves teaching people about our subtle energy nature and empowering them to own their energy so they can truly own their lives. Let's welcome to the show, The Seance, Gail Behrend. welcome.
Thank you.
You are
I'm
very,
pleased to be here.
thank you. Thank you. And so, as an engineer, what kind of engineering was it? Structural, electrical?
My degree was in mechanical, and I
Awesome.
specialized with automation and controls. That was my specialty.
I work around a lot of
Uh,
engineers,
uh-huh.
mechanical, electrical, not bio, but yeah, electrical and mechanical and structural. So did the engineering field kind of get you into this? How did that
No,
start?
no, no. I was totally woo-phobic
Yeah.
when I was an engineer. That was quite a while ago. I was very much left-brain logical skeptic, and I was I wouldn't even allow Bible in my house. That's how left brain logical
Wow.
skeptical I was. I wasn't exactly I wouldn't call myself an atheist because that's taking a position,
Yeah.
which I felt we didn't have enough information to go on. So I couldn't do that. But I was an agnostic. And basically, I figured there was a scientific explanation for it all. But if there were
Yeah.
some sort of conscious energy, it was vast and it had nothing to do with really, it was too busy and important to have anything to do with us little humans. So uh, that was about the limit of my conception of God. The only thing that gave me a sense of something way bigger than me was nature.
Yeah.
So if I were in a storm, like hurricane, I was never in a hurricane, but
Yeah.
blizzards. I grew up in Quebec and Ontario where we got plenty of snow, and you might be in a complete whiteout blizzard. Or
Mm.
I did once experience an earthquake, and there was this sense of awe that you couldn't help feeling. Or just being on the top of a mountain looking into the mountain peaks beyond and all that lifted me up. But I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
And I just stayed very solidly in my left brain logical mind and did very well with that. I actually loved engineering, and I thrived in my career and learned. And I was one of very few women in engineering at that time. This was in the 70s and 80s, and well into the 90s, and so that was an interesting time to be a woman engineer. I was generally the only one in the company where I was, so it was up to me to kind of educate the guys on how to treat me, and because they didn't know what to do, right? What do
Right.
I do with this? They didn't had no experience working with a female peer. Um, and so fortunately for me, I had brothers, and I was the oldest, so I was the bigger of the three of us, and
Yeah.
stood me well. So I felt like an equal just because of that, growing up with brothers and having to hold my own in our family, whom I'm very close to now. But back then, when I was little, it was competition. So um, I kind of knew how to work with them in a way that was non, I didn't insist on being treated delicately or anything like that. I was a conscious equal, and
Yeah.
I behaved that way, but I did it with humor. So I wasn't demanding rights, bristling. I mean, I was a feminist in the sense that I felt we deserved equal treatment, but I wasn't in the sense that it is now, where they're trying to make all men bad, and that and
Yeah.
we're all human. And I just want to be human too. It was
Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
my approach, and my colleagues were great. I took the tension. We'd come into a meeting and nobody knew what to expect, um, because I had a sense of humor. I was able to diffuse any tension, and in a very short time we were joking together, and everybody was relaxed, and oh, this is going to work. And I remember once, I got along really well with my colleagues, and I remember once in one of my projects, the HR guy was assigning people to different projects, and he was reluctant he was not looking forward to asking, who was going to work with me, and he figured they were all going to not want to, right? He says, so, and then we need, Gail's on this team. We need some, who's willing to work with Gail? And they all put up their, oh yeah,
They
Gail's
all
cool.
raised their
Yeah,
hand.
she's good. And he was so taken aback that he hadn't worked with me, right? So he was coming from that early, 1970s, early 1980s perspective where it was so unusual. He figured everyone would want to avoid it, but
Yeah.
they were all saying, "No, I will." So he even shared this with me. I mean, he was so shocked. He later shared this with me. When I was once he'd gotten to know me, he shared, back when you first came, and he said, "Wow, these guys really," and I think the key was that I was good at my job as well. So it's not like I was just faking it. I actually knew what I was doing, and engineers seem to respect competence. And so I didn't need special treatment because I could do the job. And I wasn't lifting heavy equipment or anything like that. I was using my mind, which was perfectly well honed for the job.
Mhm.
And also engineers have kind of a wacky sense of humor, and so I was on the same frequency, the same wavelength, and so we got along great as colleagues, and we had fun. And I remember some of the guys saying to me, since you joined our lunch, because I often would see the meeting in the cafeteria or whatever, say, mind if I join you? And they'd say, oh, sure, of course, being polite. But then after they got to know me, they said to me, Gail, since you joined our group, our lunchtime conversation has really improved a notch. We were talking about solving world problems,
Yeah.
instead of what this ball game or I don't know what else guys talk about, but I would imagine it was probably well, they were insisting it was a lower frequency. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And so, but they liked it. It was fun and creative and kind of inspiring and fun. Yeah, and we could get goofy as well.
Mhm.
So that was a nice compliment for me to hear that from my colleagues, and I wasn't trying. I was just being
Yeah. Just
the
be.
equal that I
Yeah.
felt
Be
that I
in the
was, right?
moment and be yourself and,
Exactly, and I
Yeah.
didn't need special. I took it as a challenge. If there was something difficult, took it as a challenge to learn. And so, and they were happy to help me. So, even the old crusty guys, experts love to talk about their expertise,
Yep.
right? And so you ask them, when I was a brand new engineer, I would ask questions, technical questions of them, and how did you deal with this? And they would love to tell their war stories, right? And so I learned a lot from the older guys as well, and they love telling me. It's like they became like my uncles,
Yeah.
or and so there was a very comfortable atmosphere in our working environment, and it just sort of flowed organically that way. And
Yeah.
I don't know how I knew to do that. I just did it. I just sort of I guess treated them like my brothers, and I trusted them and respected their knowledge and competence as well. So,
Yeah.
and so it was really a non-issue, except to those who didn't know me,
Mm.
right? And they soon learned that there was, there was nothing to worry about.
Yeah. There was a frequency and energy there that you changed the group.
Yeah,
And
and I didn't even know I was doing that, right? I
yeah.
was just being
Yeah.
myself.
Now,
But
speaking of energy and frequencies and working with that, when did that trigger and get you into what you're doing now
well,
or have been doing?
yeah, I have been doing for about 25 years.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was I got along well with the guys at work, um, but it's like I had downplayed my femininity so as to minimize stress or weird dynamics and that sort of thing. I focused on my capabilities,
Mhm.
and so I didn't dress like a guy or anything. I wasn't trying to be a fake guy. I was being myself, but I wasn't deliberately dressing sexy either. I was dressing in a businesslike way.
Yeah.
And so I thought, why push things in a direction that's it's not going to work out well for anybody?
Mm.
And also I knew I was highly visible. It's just I was kind of representing women in a way,
Yeah.
and I was kind of mindful of that. And so even though I later joined a company which had quite a few women engineers, a number, and we would sometimes meet socially as a group and talk about our experiences. Some of them had actually experienced sexual harassment on the job, but I hadn't, mainly because I shifted the mindset
Yeah.
just by how I saw myself, right? I didn't see myself as any kind of, and it helped that I'm tall. So I'm 5'10" and a half. So that
Wow.
places me in a
That helps.
decent height category to look eye
Yeah.
to eye, right? Yes. Like, whereas some of them were petite, and I could see how that would affect your mindset when everybody's taller than you, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, so what happened is that I got very comfortable in being like that, and where it didn't work was in my intimate relationships. So I was I would forget that you don't treat your boyfriend the same way as you treat the guys at work.
Mm.
And and I'd come home from work and my mind would still be on what I'd been working on, and I'd be in my work persona and that sort of thing. And we would get into arguments about things, and yeah, we had lovely times too. But there was a bit of a battle going on between personalities, because I would forget sometimes it's okay to let down and be the girl here, you know,
Yeah.
and so um, oh, now my boyfriend and I had been together 4 years. We were living together. We were talking about marriage and kids. We were looking at to buy a house together. We'd actually been making offers on places and that sort of thing. So we had reached that level in our relationship where we were, talking about settling down. And I was 33 at that point, which is kind of the age when people start getting serious about,
Mhm.
starting a life together. And so we were having that whole conversation, and enjoyed living together, and we had a lot of similar interests, and we loved each other, or so I thought. And I was you know, in my heart, he was the man I was going to marry, and it seemed like everything was moving in that direction, especially if we were going out looking to buy a house together and talking about having all the things. So in my neat little ordered engineer mind, my future was neatly plotted out. There was the
Yeah.
house in the suburbs, the 2.5 kids, the minivan in the driveway, and the golden retriever. The whole
Yeah.
happy families picture. And I had no doubt that's what was going to unfold. And so I was rudely awakened, literally, in